What up? It's your boy King Dow 225 coming at you with another reactionary video. So hit that like, subscribe, become part of the kingdom. Man, I kind of went down the rabbit hole there for a couple of hours, because I always talk about the effects of the 80s drug era had on my community. Everybody can acknowledge it. Woo doo wham wham. So I decided, I'm like, man, I'm gonna go back and look at a bunch of old videos that I remember, cause I remember Iran Contra affair. In my mind, I'm like in 87, 86, I'm 7, 8. I remember seeing Oliver North on television, but I don't remember what he said. And like now, when I go back on, I looked at a lot of these videos. I'm like, damn, bro, a young 8-year-old didn't really know how fucked up this shit was. But a 43-year-old man understand. Like, god damn. I thought it was bad before. Then I realized, oh man, my government did me that dirty for this reason? Yeah, I'm thinking. I really, yeah, man, I ain't even know this dude Oliver North was goddamn, what, chairman of the NRA now? Living his best life. Let's get to the video, man. This part of history that anytime we bring up our grievances as a community, they're like, oh, slavery was so long ago. Well, let's talk about some very, very recent history on fucked up acts that our beloved government has committed against my community. And we got to, rewind a little bit because our memory get hazy. We forget shit. We suppress it. We don't really care. Yeah, we say, yeah, they kind of put drugs in the community, but you don't understand. Or like, damn, bro, that real's kind of fucked up. Let's just get to this shit. I chose this video because it was pretty informative and to the point. You know, fair use, fair use. So I'm gonna react to from a survivor of the 80s, a victim of this shit. I'm gonna react as a black man to the real history of what really happened. Even though every part didn't. Let's just get to this shit. It's kind of fucked up, bro. Nigga, light it up, bro.
Imbroglio. That's a fun word. Imbroglio. But more commonly known as the Iran-Contra affair. Once upon a time, a dude named Ronald Reagan was an American president. When he first took office, he was pretty passionate about fighting communism with a capital C.
You know what I told you about him? The original Donald Trump, a reality star turned president with real strong Republican ideals.
Particular, the Soviet Union. Even though the Cold War had been going on for 36 years, tensions were still high between the two countries. It's safe to say that Reagan escalated those tensions during his first years in office. Specifically, Reagan had two ongoing Cold War problems he had to deal with. One, the spread of communism in Latin America, and two, extremists in the Middle East who kept taking American hostages. During the first hours of his presidency, Iran released 52 Americans who had been held hostage for more than a year. Militants first kidnapped them after invading the American embassy in Tehran. In the aftermath of what became known as the Iran hostage crisis, relations between the United States and Iran remained hostile. Oh, please keep in mind that many Iranians were upset with the United States for decades before this, ever since the United States played a big role in overthrowing their popular elected leader, Mohammad Mossadegh, in 1953. Anyway, Reagan
Yeah, we did that.
continued a ban on providing weapons to Iran, just like former President Jimmy Carter did before him. Meanwhile, Iran found itself at war with its neighbor to the east, Iraq, after.
See, this is the part that really churns my butter the most. This part. This is the part that really churns my butter. Like, what the fuck did we got to do with this? Yeah, you fighting communism, right? But this double-handed bullshit that the U.S. government did and got smooth away with it, and you took all our daddies, uncles, hooked them on drugs, threw them in jail. You know, you corrupted generations of fatherless young men. You sacrificed the black people for this double-handed bullshit that this man about to discuss. Like, damn, 43-year-old me understands now. Like, damn, bro. Let's get to it.
Iraq tried to take over some of its territory. Well, guess which side the United States supported? Yep, Iraq. It gave them lots of money, weapons, and information to help them. And then another hostage crisis, this time in Lebanon during the Lebanese Civil War. Beginning in 1982, members of the Islamist militant group known as Hezbollah kidnapped 104 foreign hostages. Most of them were Americans. It's important to know that Hezbollah had direct ties to Iran. So what does the Reagan administration do? Why, sell weapons to Iran, of course. Wait, what?
That part. Yeah, I was on my phone a second, but I'm about to rewind that for you again. That part. Like, y'all niggas really did that? Like, for real? And y'all got it? So you mean the city told y'all no? Hold on, let's go back again so we can play that shit again.
Ever since the United States played a big role in overthrowing their popular elected leader, Mohammad Mossadegh, in 1953. Anyway, Reagan continued a ban on providing weapons to Iran, just like former President Jimmy Carter did before him. Meanwhile, Iran found itself at war with its neighbor to the east, Iraq, after Iraq tried to take over some of its territory. Well, guess which side the United States supported? Yep, Iraq. It gave them lots of money, weapons, and information to help them. And then another hostage crisis, this time in Lebanon during the Lebanese Civil War. Beginning in 1982, members of the Islamist militant group known as Hezbollah kidnapped 104 foreign hostages. Most of them were Americans. It's important to know that Hezbollah had direct ties to Iran. So what does the Reagan administration do? Why, sell weapons to Iran, of course. Wait, what? Wasn't there a ban on providing weapons to Iran? Weren't Iran and the United States big enemies? Okay, so here's where Nicaragua comes in. You forgot about Nicaragua, didn't you? Remember Reagan?
This the drug part that directly affect my community. You know. Let's continue before I start talking.
Reagan was fighting communism all around the world, not just in the Middle East. In Latin America, the fight was just as active at times. Nicaragua's government was ruled by Marxists, socialists, communists, and whatever scary word you want to think of. Basically, the Sandinista National Liberation Front. Their members were called Sandinistas, and they still exist today. In the early 1980s, they were rather authoritarian, and the Reagan administration thought they had to go down. So they supported the Contras, a diverse group of rebels trying to topple the Sandinista regime. Here's the thing, though. The United States Congress had cut funding.
Shady shit. More shady shit. You know, and I'm fucking tongue tied. Like, United States government cut funding to the Contras. So they had to figure out a way to do business against fucking the rules, authority. So we gonna get the dope over here, give it to the black people. They gonna sell it, give us the money so we can give these people money for guns to fight over here. That's basically what it was. The government told us no, we won't do it anyway. We gotta find a way to do it. They got dope. We'll bring you the dope, give us the money, and we go buy some guns, get them some like proxy wars, shit like that.
Of the Contras.
But this ain't a proxy war. This is direct. This direct.
A law known as the Boland Amendment, so they supported the Contras, a diverse group of rebels trying to topple the Sandinista regime. Here's the thing, though. The United States Congress had cut funding of the Contras. In fact, it passed a law known as the Boland Amendment, which specifically said the United States couldn't help the Contras overthrow the Nicaraguan government. A big reason why was a link between the Contras and the cocaine trade. More on that later. But you all know about this because you watched that episode of American Dad, right?
In the 80s, there was Cold War drama. We fought the commies inside Nicaragua. Our friends were the Contras. Freedom was their mantra, so we sent them lots of money for guns and landmines. But Congress stopped the Contra money flow just because they moved a teeny bit of blow.
But the Reagan administration was going to overthrow the Sandinistas anyway. That's right, they were breaking the law. But how would they get away with it? Well, remember how I said the Reagan administration would sell weapons to Iran? Yeah, they would sell weapons to Iran. Now, the official explanation later on by the Reagan administration was that they sold the weapons to Iran in order to free the American hostages Hezbollah had in Lebanon. However, as it turns out, they were selling weapons to Iran before the Lebanon hostage crisis. In addition, and this may sound crazy to some, but Israel helped coordinate the deals. Israel, a country that was definitely an enemy to Iran.
My nigga, like I'm feeling so many ways conflicted. I'm I'm feeling so many ways conflicted. So you was selling shit to them before they like the motherfuckers still kidnapping Americans. And as an American, you are not even allowed to say nothing negative toward Israel. Even if some black Americans believe that black Americans are the original tribe of Israel. Oh, that's blasphemous. You better not never say that. You mean to tell me Israel, Iran, Iraq, and Nicaragua, of course America, had a hand. Don't give two fucks about the fact that my daddy was gone, or my uncle was on drugs, or my friends was getting arrested. They don't give a fuck about the destruction of my people. All these people were just concerned about their own fucking welfare and being. I know y'all gonna say communism, communism, communism. Hey, then y'all won't acknowledge the sacrifice. I'm willing to sacrifice that. That's how much of an American I am. But for you to sit here and act like black people have never given anything, and we gave away like 3, 4 generations of men for the protection of America, and now one of them was in nobody's military. Let's continue this shit. Shit is mind blowing.
Iran, and they still are enemies, by the way. But Israel wanted Iran to continue fighting that war with Iraq. You know, keep them preoccupied so they wouldn't be a threat to them. Now, much of the money the Reagan administration got for selling weapons to Iran would then secretly go to help fund the Contras in Nicaragua. The Central Intelligence Agency, or CIA, helped this money stay off the books. Eventually, Iran did manage to free at least one American hostage in Lebanon. But again, the Reagan administration was breaking the law. Congress had violated the ban on military aid to the Contras.
His name was Oliver North. He and Reagan went around the sissy Congress. Ollie North, Ollie North. You see, North secretly sold missiles to a harmless country called Iran that would always be a grateful ally. Then he gave the profits to the Contras. Genius.
Yeah, more on Oliver North in a bit. Later on, we found out that the CIA was possibly also buying cocaine from the Contras to help fund their resistance, and that may have also played an important role in the creation of the crack cocaine epidemic in the United States. The CIA denied this, however, and investigations by other parts of the federal government never found evidence for it either. That's all I have to say since the CIA is monitoring this video right now.
And that is the epitome of white history for your ass. We just gonna skip over that part. We gonna mention it. You will be a footnote, but all this other scandalous shit that they was connected to, like, oh, you're funding Iran, you using money from Iran to fight against Iraq, who you fucking supporting on uh publicly, you funding and supporting, but back door, you're funding and supporting Iran under the table by using a war in Nicaragua. But yeah, they got some of their money from dope. That's how it always been with white history. Like they don't never really want to talk about the real fucked up shit that they done been a party to. Like we are patriots. We fought off the British. That's all we done did. Oh no, no, no. A black American tell you otherwise. A real American. Like I say, I'm as an American, I understand that you got to do certain shit to protect your people, but you sacrifice, you damn near sacrifice my people without a motherfucking choice. We gonna bring the dope over here. You could have took that dope anywhere and made your motherfucking money. We gonna wipe them monkeys off the map. If you don't believe that, you really is delusional. You don't think that shit was intentional? Oh, no, just go and send it over there to them. They'll take it. Show them how to cook it up too. Let's continue. That's how white history is. When you really want to know about black history, you got to go to college or some fucking African American studies, or you got to go to the library on your own and learn the shit they don't really want you to know. That's why critical race theory (CRT) is important. They fight that though.
Don't move. They're watching us. Anyway, enough about the drugs. There was no doubt the Contras were getting support from the United States. In November 1986, the Lebanese newspaper Al Shara reported on the arms deal, and the rest of the media soon began to find out the rest. Many Americans were outraged. Immediately, all those involved began to destroy the evidence as quickly as possible. It was too late. The United States Attorney General, Edwin Meese, led an investigation into it, even though he may have been in on it. One dude did come forward and admit wrongdoing. Yep, that was National Security Council staffer Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North, who admitted his involvement with getting money illegally to the Contras. North's boss, the National Security Advisor Robert McFarlane, who had resigned before news broke of the scandal, attempted suicide before scheduled testimony. Even though North said Reagan knew all about the deals, Reagan claimed he was innocent of wrongdoing and didn't know what his subordinates were actually doing. But remember, just 15 years prior was the Watergate scandal. So many Americans didn't.
Again, do that sound familiar? I ain't tell them people run up on Congress or Capitol Hill on January 6th. I don't know what you're talking about. Like you just destroyed. Like and then it just the whole playbook laid out in front of us. Now say no to drugs. Just say no. Okay, well, we gonna give it to them people so we can fund this over here after they told us we can't. So we circumventing the will of the people by what we think is correct. Like Congress, the people who voted in by Congress, oh, them a bunch of Democrats. Fuck what they talking about. We gonna do it anyway, and we gonna sacrifice generations of black men black families and the black community, because that's what we think it's supposed to. That's the right thing to do.
Believe Reagan when he said that. Reagan did go on TV in March 1987 and seemed to take responsibility for the imbroglio, though Congress investigated and ultimately found that Reagan himself did not actually know the extent of multiple programs in the Iran-Contra affair. In other words, he was apparently out of the loop. So they didn't indict him. However, Congress indicted several dozen administration officials and eventually convicted 11, including 4 CIA officers. They even indicted the former Secretary of Defense, Caspar Weinberger, Oliver North, Robert McFarlane, and McFarlane's successor, John Poindexter, were all found guilty for their involvement. North got off relatively easy for his cooperation, and the next president, George H.W. Bush, actually pardoned all 3 of them. All 3 are still
Fucking surprise. Oh my God. You serious? Did they all get pardoned and free to make money off this shit and live freely? And, you know, my uncles and daddies, they all gone. They out here living their life freely. George Bush became president. He helped his son become 2-time president. Like, and all we had to do was sacrifice millions of lives. But remember, whenever they say black people don't make no contribution, you bunch of lazy, good for nothing people. You know, fuck the fact that, we built this country. We're not gonna talk about slavery, because I know y'all roll your eyes when we say slavery again. So we're not gonna talk about recent history. That these atrocities were committed on American citizens. We're not gonna talk about the roots of police brutality and the police force and whatnot. We're gonna talk about some shit that you still won't admit. Oh, the CIA ain't got nothing to do with that. We didn't take them people dope. We just took their dope, gave money from, I don't know where we got the money from, because the ATM cut off. So we gave them money. We don't know where it come from to fight a war we ain't had nothing to do with it, because communism, trying to control somebody else's country.
alive, actually, and North even ran for Senate and had a long career in right-wing media. Oh, and remember, George H.W. Bush was vice president when all this was originally going down. That didn't mean he knew about it, but he probably was friendly with all involved. In the final days of his presidency, after losing re-election in 1992, he pardoned the rest of those indicted or convicted. The Iran-Contra affair was probably the most serious scandal of the Reagan presidency and hurt his legacy, especially regarding foreign policy. To this day, many contend that he knew more than he actually said he did. Still, Reagan remained a popular president in his final days in office. And overall, a general mistrust in government, which really took off with the Vietnam War and the Watergate scandal, only continued to grow. But I hope you at least trust me. I know some of you don't. The CIA certainly doesn't trust me because...
And this is why Ronald Reagan is trash, always was a trash president, gonna be a trash president. A lot of these presidents were trash, straight racist. I don't give a fuck. Straight trash, 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 trash. This is probably when everybody always wondered, like, how the hell did black people turn Democrat when it was the Democrats that were trying to keep y'all like Jim Crow laws and second class citizens, and Republicans, Lincoln was a Republican. Shit like this. But yeah, we gonna sacrifice those people over there. Cause I don't give a fuck how y'all try to change it up. That's what it was. I'm a survivor of this shit. The impact, I started this shit. I went down this rabbit hole because cause I was living in it. I ain't really understand or really catch the true meaning of what was going on around in the bigger wide world, I was living there like, man, I'm tired of niggas breaking in my house and taking my shit. Like, cause that was that moment. It's one time, believe it or not, in black communities, you could leave your door unlocked. It was like a transition. You could see it from being able to leave your door unlocked at night to making sure your shit is locked to making sure your keys in the house and when the street lights come on to all kind of shit. Now you seeing junkies in the street. You seeing hungry ass kids and dirt ass kids now. Seeing a slow fucking breakdown of a community to the hood. Right now, everybody slanging drugs. You got gun violence. You got violence. Like, all that started from a know-it-all president who disregarded the will of the people, who did double dealing action in the name of defending America. Hmm. So self-righteous to sacrifice somebody else's people, not your own. Then when some black people say, America don't really believe we American citizens, we not citizens, we're not, I'm like, man, with the Constitution, because I'm a constitutionalist, the Constitution, the Constitution, Constitution. Man, them people ain't meant that for us. How can I dispute that when I can burn these people to make a profit whenever I want? But we're not talking about slavery, because that was so long ago. Again, it's your boy King Down 225, walking down memory lane as a survivor of the crack era, the 80s. All these policies in place to get us addicted and imprison us, and then tell us we was a fucking bad guy. Again, I told y'all this on many occasions. I wasn't supposed to live to see 18. That what the news said. These young black men who barely gonna live to see 17. Had my mama spooked, threw us away. Now, I can understand where it comes from. We will sacrifice for America. Well, shit, reparations, motherfucker. Fuck slave reparations. Give me crack era reparations. Hit that like, subscribe, and become part of the kingdom. Because you owe me more. Like, if we do reparations just for the crack era, motherfucker, what that number hitting for? The destruction you call, oh yeah, we not allowed to sue the U.S. government, though. You're right. So every time they do something fucked up to us, they just get away with it. Because this nigga is head of the NRA on conservative news. He ain't suffering the consequences of his action. He still delusionally think he defending America. I defended America. I'm a real American hero. Not from over here, buddy. You're a tyrant. You're a terrorist. Hit that like, subscribe. Fucking America here. All them terrorists. The Bushes, the Reagans. All them motherfuckers terrorizing my community. All of them. Every last one of them. American president, American hero. No, you got us hooked on drugs. You're prisoners. That includes Clinton ass too. You hear me? Only one I probably excuse is maybe Lincoln. My great granddaddies like Kennedy. Obama, of course, for what he represented. Maybe Lyndon B. Johnson. Maybe. Fuck with him. Hit that like and subscribe.